fellows, hope you're all doing well. Thanks so much for joining me for today's video. Today is the day where I finally share with you my Hoya haul. It is quite a big one, so there's quite a number of Hoyas to get through. But before we get started, if you're new around here, my name is Grace and I talk about houseplants on this channel. So if that's something you're interested in and if you like the vibe here, then definitely join the family, hit that subscribe button, and also don't forget to ring the notification bell so you get notified when I post a new video. Alright guys, so first up on the Hoya haul is a wishlist plant. It's one that I've mentioned ages ago in one of my Hoya wishlist videos or a plant wishlist video. It might have been in 2021. It is finally in my hands. I've managed to find a Hoya elliptica. It's so cute and oval. Look at the fine pattern on the leaves. It's one that I have been wanting for the longest time. I think it was really difficult to find in Australia, but now it is quite readily available and also very reasonably priced. So if this is one that you've been wanting to get your hands on and you're in Australia like I am, definitely have a look around. I think they're becoming more and more available in the market. Next, we've got this little guy here. This is a Hoya Mariana, and this is what the blooms is supposed to look like. It's not going to bloom for me anytime soon because it is a one vine cutting that I've got here, but it is relatively it's got many leaves on there, so I'm hopeful that it will be a fast grower for me. And I think because these are small leaf Hoyas, they generally do grow pretty quickly, so fingers crossed. Is it just me, or do these little ruffles along the edges of the leaf look like little cornflakes or something? It looks like cereal. It might just be a me thing. I don't think this one is too hard to find. I believe this was in the market in Australia already from quite a while ago. They are more and more affordable these days, so if you're interested in the look of this plant and you don't want to break the bank, this might be one that you want to look into. Next up, something that looks very similar, and I believe a couple of you have also mentioned in my comments in one of my previous videos when I talked about the Hoya Mariana, that there is another one called Hoya endoences. Actually, it looks like this one has larger leaves that has a little bit more of a point at the end or at the tips of it as compared to the previous one that is a little bit more rounded in the edges. Yeah, I feel like they are slightly different, although they do look very, very similar. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. And this is what the blooms look like on the Hoya endoences. I'm not a huge fan of these round blooms, I have to say. I much prefer when they have petals, star-shaped petals. It will be interesting to see if it does bloom for me. This one looks really healthy, to be honest, and it's got two vines and they are actively growing. So hopefully this one will acclimatize to my space really quickly and we can see a bit of growth on this one soon. I will be growing all of these in my grow tent, and I've actually reconfigured my grow tent. I've added a lot more wire meshing all throughout the panels, so maybe I'll also insert a clip of what the grow tent is currently looking like, but I might also film a separate video to give an update on the grow tent. But anyway, we'll see. Next up, we have my Hoya zambales, which is another of my wishlist plant that I was waiting for it to hit the Australian market, and it's finally here. The leaf shape is very, very similar to a Varieties, just that it's a lot smaller and more petite. I think it's really, really cute. This one, I think, is suffering from a little bit of shock in transit because it was a bit fuller, but it's lost a couple of leaves since it's come into my environment, and it looks like it's about to lose another one. So this vine is going to start looking a little bit bare. There is a couple of nodes on this one, and there's more opportunities for vines to shoot out from here. I do have hopes that this one will bush out for me this summer. It's almost autumn in Australia now, so it's almost autumn. What am I saying? It's almost spring in Australia now, and things are starting to warm up, so hopefully the planties are gonna love it and do a lot better. Next, we have yet another wishlist plants. I think you can probably tell that I just went crazy because so many of my wishlist plants are finally here in the Australian market, and it is also pretty affordable, I have to say, so I was quite surprised, and hence why I just fell off my plant ban and bought a bunch of different new Hoyas. Anyway, enough justifying myself. Let's talk about the Hoyas. This is a Hoya chingu endoences. In one of my previous videos, I also struggled to pronounce this plant, so I'm not about to try again. It's what it is on screen. It's another small leaf Hoya that has really pointy leaves that look a little bit like small spades or something like that. The leaves are looking a little bit thin. It might be that it needs a little bit more water than it's getting at the moment. It definitely was a little bit more succulent before. So anyway, I am learning a little bit more about these small leaf Hoyas and about how they actually need a lot more water than we think. There used to be this misconception going around where Hoyas are really easy care and low maintenance and doesn't really need as much water. They prefer to dry out, etc., etc. But that is not the case for a lot of these smaller leaf Hoyas I found. And the more water you give it, they actually grow a lot faster. So I think this is definitely one of them. And I'm definitely going to have to keep an eye on this one. You guys are probably also wondering why in the world did I purchase a whole bunch of new Hoyas when I'm going away for 5 weeks. And trust me, I've thought about it and I've wondered the same thing, but I just couldn't help myself when I saw them for sale and they were really, really well priced. So I snagged them up. Anyway, next up is the variegated Hoya pachiklada. This used to be super duper expensive a couple of years ago when we were all crazy about Hoyas. I mean, like I still am, but when the whole like plant craze was at its peak, it's definitely come down now that we're, you know, going about our daily lives again and starting to travel again as well. The most exciting thing about this plant is that it can get tricolor. Once it gets really, really sun stressed around the border, it might start to turn a little bit pink or red. I'm not sure if you can see, it has already been showing a little bit of color on the edges, but it's really hard to see. So anyway, I'll leave it in my grow tent for a little while longer and hopefully it sun stresses it enough that you can see a little bit more red. It's also a little bit fuzzy. It has a little bit of that like pubescent feel to it, but not too much. And you can tell they've got like a completely white vine growing out here, which I don't really know what to do with because there ain't no chlorophyll on there and I don't know if it's going to survive or if it's going to kill the rest of the plant just trying to keep this alive. That's an actively growing growth point and I don't really want to cut it off just yet, but there is another one that is pushing out right here. I don't know if you can tell, but there's another growth point pushing out there. So hopefully this one here will give me a little bit more green and not just pure white leaves because I really don't know what to do with them. Anyhow, so that's the Hoya pachiklada Vergara. Next we have a little cutie and this is the Hoya Rosita, which is another sort of like variation of the Hoya Rosita, but instead of having a little bit more like taco shaped leaves, this one has a little bit of a wider, flatter profile, but it sun stresses the same way as a Hoya Rosita and gets these like beautiful purple edges or like burgundy. This was sent to me in this little pot and I think it is growing in pond, so I've decided to leave it in there because like I said in my previous video where I was talking about map grow as an equivalent to pond, I haven't tried pond yet, but I am very interested to because I heard some people have really, really good results with all sorts of plants, not just Hoyas. So I will keep this in there and let you know how we go. But I also do plan on getting some pond when we're back from our honeymoon and testing them out. Anyway, if you're seeing some of these little pot clips and the what do you call this, alfoil wrapped around it is because I do hang it on my grow tent and when I water them, the water tends to run through. So to avoid it from like dripping everywhere, I've just put some aluminum foil at the bottom to help with that a little bit. Next up, we have a Hoya patella and this is what the flowers on this Hoya looks like. I really enjoy the look of it. I'm very excited for this one to bloom for me. If it ever does, fingers crossed. This one here had 3 new leaves when it arrived, but I think it must have suffered some shock from being posted over to me because one of them has fallen off and these 2 look like they're not doing too well and they're probably not going to make it. But anyway, there are 4 leaves at the bottom here that are looking very healthy in comparison to that sad looking one. I'm hopeful that it will bounce back for me soon. The appeal of this, it doesn't really look like much. There's not like veination or any sort of pattern on the leaves, but this one here is extra fuzzy, and if you know me, you know I enjoy some fuzzy plants as well, so this is a really nice one to feel. Alrighty, so now we've got my Hoya Retusa. I just love the look of this plant. It's so crazy and grassy. It's just like really, really crazy looking. So now this plant I have struggled with so many times. This is I think like my third retusa. I just can't give up on this plant because I love it so much. It's not the easiest to care for because the leaves are like non-existent or like barely there. They're so thin and they actually need a lot more water than we would think, but also we can't overwater it because then it might get root rot. So this is one that I've like been trying to crack the code on with not very much success. So I think this time around I thought I would like get a bigger one to increase my chances of it surviving, and it's still too early to say. But having said that, there was one, I think the first Hoya Rosita that I got actually flourished in my care for a little while until I don't know what happened to it, but I think it was overwatered and it didn't make it. So then I tried again, and again I think it was overwatered and it didn't make it. So you know, this is one that you actually need to keep a close eye on and not neglect, because once it goes downhill, it is very, very difficult to get it back on track. So it's not the best idea that I got this while we're going away for 5 weeks, but fingers crossed, guys. Wish me luck. And if you have any tips on how to grow the Hoya Rosita, definitely leave them in the comments down below. It will be much, much appreciated. If you enjoyed this video, please do me a favor and hit that like button. It really helps out the channel. Last two, I did get free cuttings from the sellers who sold me some of these Hoyas. And there is a Hoya Bella Vergara right here. It's the Louis Bois or something like that. This is the one that's variegated on the inside. I feel really, really lucky to get this as a free cutting, because if you know your Hoyas, you'll know that this is one of the rarer varieties. So I really want to thank that Hoya seller who sold me this one. I've also got a free cutting of a Hoya linearis, because mine did not make it. I'm going to try and grow this from this one cutting and we'll see how we go. Actually, maybe going to propagate it in water, so I might take it out of the sphagnum. So anyway, those are the last two Hoyas that I wanted to show you guys. And if you guys are actually looking for Hoyas in Australia or any of these ones that I've mentioned, you can DM me, like leave me a comment down below or DM me on Instagram, and I can let you know where I got them from so that you can get them for yourself as well if you're after them. So that's it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed, but before you go, quick announcement. Alex and I are going to Malaysia and then to Europe for our honeymoon, and it's going to be a 4-week, or we're going to be away for a total of 5 weeks. I'm planning on vlogging some of that and sharing that with you guys, so I hope you're as excited as we are. Having said that, there won't really be any new videos while we're away, but I will be reposting some of my older ones that have been taken down due to copyright strikes. But anyway, we won't go there. It's just for the music that I was using in those videos. I've swapped them out and I'll just be reposting these videos. So just a heads up on that. And also, because we're gonna be away for 5 weeks, I have looked into some self-watering tools. There's this really cute one that's made of glass, like completely. But you're meant to like fill water in there and put it into the soil, and it will release the water gradually as the plant needs it. I've never tried this before, but I thought, hey, since we're going away for 5 weeks, why not give it a go? So I got a couple of these from Amazon. I don't know how well they work, but I will let you know a review when we come back. But I also found this, which might be a longer term solution. So it is a smart watering device. I will insert some photos of what this thing looks like. So the way this works is like a smart pump, and you plug it into 15, I think this one goes to about 15 plants, or pots I should say. And if you set the timer and everything like that, it's meant to slowly drip water into those said pots. I haven't tried it out yet, but I will definitely give it a go before we leave. If you guys are interested in a review of this, definitely let me know and I can film that when we're back. And I think that is pretty much it for the announcement. Everything that I talked about will be in the description box below as well if you are interested to read up on it for yourself. But yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. And if you want to see more planty content from me, I've left some videos up on screen, so feel free to check them out. And until next time, stay mellow, my fellows.